Oh, okay. How you guys? Come on in, Jill. I'm still doing my hair. Yes. It takes me 2 days to do my hair. Okay, I do part one and then part two the following day. Long story, but okay. Get in here, you guys. Get in here. I had to do a protein treatment today. Oh Lord. I hope my hair really is beautiful in the next 5 years, though, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I finally bought Sacred. It was on sale. Figured I would try and review it. My first time using it. It smells pretty good. No, it smells good. Very thick. You guys. Oh Lord. I saw this one video. I was like, we can watch the videos. Well, I saw 2 videos, but I think we could watch these videos together as I do my hair, even though I have to go into the steamer. But it's cool. We can still do this together. Let me take care of my hair. Let me take care of my hair. We got time to get in here, Chad. And be like, Marlene, are you outside? And yes, I'm outside. Take care of my hair. This is really thick. Okay. A bit of protein never hurt anybody, John. Oh, I'm exhausted. What's my hair? Is it feet? Hey, Richard. I saw your DM. Thank you. Send me the pictures. I replied to your DM. You should check. I'm using Sacred today. Yeah. It was on sale. They had some kind of sale, like 30% off. Like, I don't know. It was like, this was like $20. $30. I was like, okay, sure, I'll try it. I'll review it. It feels like Queen Helen's mayo. Yeah, send me your pictures so I can post them up. Because I'm giving myself a little protein treatment. I'm trying to go to hey for me, I'm trying to start to I'm starting to implement protein treatments like once a month because I have low porosity hair, so I don't have to do that many protein treatments, but because I was not doing them at all. And I was like, I don't like the way my cuticles are looking. So I was like, let me do. Oh, you did. Child, that live. Today is going to be an extension of that live because you guys, I'm triggered. I am triggered all over again. People are racism, child. The real cost of racism. Okay. The real cost of racism. Right? And I will say this. Yes, I do not believe that America is as racist as America used to be. But I do believe that America is still racist. And this is why in all this all this trade war issue, the trade deficit conversations, right? We are seeing the consequences of racism, okay? We are seeing the consequences of racist practices, racist mindset, racist ideologies, okay? Right? Because think about this, right? Think about this. When you deny especially I think 40 million plus people is a lot of people. When you deny 40 million plus people access to the best education possible, I feel like even the vast majority of children who have access to public schools, right? They don't really have the best product, okay? The American public school system does not create the best product. It doesn't provide the best product. This is what Vivek was trying to explain, and they act like they didn't understand him because he's Indian and they want to try to be racist, okay? Because I feel like the whole backlash that Vivek got is just racism. If a white person had said that, they wouldn't have had an issue with that. But the public school system in America truly, truly does not provide the best product when it comes to education. You understand me, right? Then add on top of that, the fact that you do have a lot of racism in America. And you do have many, many people throughout the history of this country, even to this day, who do not believe that Black people, Black children should be in any kind of serious position of leadership. You understand, right? And so today, when you're looking at the trade deficit with China, it's like, yeah, or these other countries, like, yeah, you don't have enough people You don't have enough people in this country that can, successfully contribute, academically to bettering this nation. Even with this whole thing of like, oh, we're going to import smart people. We're going to H-1B, what's called H-1B1 visa our way through this problem, right? Importing all the Indian people, import all these engineers. So I'm like, but listen, importing smart people also can't fix your problem, right? Like, if you live in America, for example, think about the way that so many HBCUs are underfunded, right? Think about, like, people really, I can't do it, I don't have time for that, but people really have to think about the way Black education has been so underfunded. It has never truly been a priority. It has always been excessively sabotaged, right? Even like what is sold to Black children. Academia is not sold to Black children. Engineering is not sold to Black children. Being intelligent is not sold to Black children, right? You understand me? And all of that too is intentional. It comes from the government. And the government in this country has always been mostly white. Therefore, America is racist. America is racist, okay? Where it really, really matters and where it really, really counts, America is a racist country. It is not as racist as it used to be, but it's still racist nonetheless, okay? It's still racist nonetheless. Just like you put any Black child, like you put a Black child in some kind of weird bucket, whatever, and you try to surmise or you try to guess where that Black child is going to go to school, you already know they're going to go to a horrible school district, right? They're going to go to a bad school district. And even they do happen to go to, I guess, like a good, medium good type of school district, right? Most likely that Black child is going to be targeted for behavior issues, this kind of issue, that kind of issue, this issue, that issue, right? But ultimately, they do not want Black children to see themselves as people who are academically competent. And that's why for the longest, as far as I know, every time it comes to tech, every time it comes to software this, anytime it comes to innovation, right? It's always a story about a white boy who dropped out of Harvard, a white boy who dropped out of Princeton, like some white boy goes to an Ivy League. He's just so smart that he has to drop out. And then he goes into his garage and then he comes up with this like $1 billion idea, right? At first it's kind of cute. Oh, they're really, really smart. But what happens, like in terms of society, like even, in terms of a nation, like what happens when the narrative is always the white boy? White boy's so smart. White boy goes to Harvard. White boy drops out. White boy has this thing in his garage and he becomes a billionaire off of that, right? When other people do not see representation. And you see, and this is why I say white liberals a bunch of racists. This is why I say white liberals a bunch of racists. Because when it comes to representation or diversity, equity, and inclusion, have you not noticed that these white liberals only want Black people to see themselves when it comes to low-level behaviors, right? Obesity, promiscuity, LGBTQism. I mean, you name it, right? When it comes to that kind of stuff, then they want excessive Black representation, right? How often have you lived in this country, if ever, you have seen a movie about a young Black boy who goes to an Ivy League or maybe goes to an HBCU? The young man is so smart that he dropped out of college and then he has a great idea in his parents' garage. And the young Black man, goes on to have like this successful business that is, that's on the stock market, or he's able to have $1 billion idea. You never see that, right? How often do you see even people write the books about the brilliant mind of a young Black boy and this and that? You never see that, right? Because in America, white people are the smart one and Black people are the criminal ones, right? This is how they have this country laid out. When you're white, you're smart. Like just showing up, people just assume that, oh, you're white, you're smart. You're white, you're competent. You're white. Any idea that you have in your head is worth the investment. It's worth the time. It's worth the this, right? And this is why so many white women are able to go out here and just lie and scam and steal so much money, because people assume because she's white, there's no way she could be wrong. Because she's white, there's no way this business is going to fail. Because she's white, there's no way she can make a mistake. Right? White women can have the most mediocre ideas, and the vast majority of them do. Okay? The vast majority of them do. And then you'll see how people just throw money at them. Right? It's like, is it really because you're that impressed, enamored, infatuated with the idea? Or is it because you feel as though when you bet on white, it's always right? Okay? I have questions. But I think it's because people really say to themselves, if I bet on a white person, I'm always going to be making the right bet. Because you see it in the movies, you see it in society, right? They have organized, they have manicured this society to really make everybody feel as though white people are always the smart ones, right? Always confer back to white people, take advice from white people, take the lead of white people, listen to white people. No, right? And I feel like what is happening today, I'm putting the video, but I feel like what is happening today, especially with China, is that people are starting to see that white people are not as smart as they claim to be. Right? White people are not all that, they're not as smart as they claim to be. They're not the geniuses they claim to be. They're not these great juggernauts, problem solvers they claim to be. If anything, white people are very chaotic. They are extremely chaotic and they lie a lot, but they cause lots of harm. They bring lots of chaos. They're not true problem solvers. But because they have people convinced that only they can fix the problem, it causes a lot of other people to not even try to see if they could also try to solve these problems, right? Hopefully I'm making sense here, right? And so it's like, look, and like they said, like when they played the Nancy Pelosi video yesterday, what she said 30 years ago, and like back then, like it was like a $40 billion trade deficit with China. And today we're looking at a 430 years. It went from 40 billion to a $400 billion trade deficit with China. It's going to keep growing, right? So what does that tell you? That these Chinese people, they're not impressed by white people, right? These Chinese people have a stronger sense of self. And I can understand why. Because they're in China. They don't consume white movies. They don't consume white documentaries. They don't consume movies where the white man's always the hero. The white man's always the smartest one. The white man is always the genius and this, and that. So when you don't have these images ingrained in your subconscious, you are more likely to believe in yourself. You are more likely to believe in yourself, right? If you're not constantly being fed stories and videos and books and podcasts, I mean, you name it, where the white man is always the smartest, the white man is always the richest, the white man is, I mean, look at this guy, even the white boy who runs Instagram, right? What's his name? Adam, whatever his name is, right? That dude is so mediocre. Right? That dude is mediocre. You know he got the job because he's white. He is so mediocre, right? I'm like, I saw a thing yesterday because if you guys don't know this, like on Instagram, you can leave notes on a post, right? They rolled that thing out. The thing hasn't even been out for a year. They're like, oh, April 6th, whatever it is, we're gonna take the notes back because we don't want to overload the app. Like, you know, I'm like, okay, but if you try something and you give up in less than a year, why did you even do it? Right? Hey, boo, he's not here right now. He's downstairs, right? If you're going to do something and you're not going to have faith in it and you're going to pull it back after a year, why are you doing it? Look at Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg wasted billions of dollars, right? The genius that went to Harvard and he was so smart and he dropped out. Like, have you ever, I'm not trying to be funny, right? But like, think about it. Truly, truly, truly think about it. You're such a genius. You went to Harvard. You were so smart that you had to drop out of Harvard so you could create Facebook, right? Facebook is not, there's nothing new to Facebook. Like, I'm not trying to be funny, but before Facebook, you had High Five. Before Facebook, you had what's called Black Planet, right? There were people before who created this idea of these, you know, a website where people could actually go and meet people. There's nothing new, right? Even the whole Facebook thing, that wasn't even his idea, right? But I'm just not trying to be funny, but I'm like, what exactly is it about Facebook that you can be like, damn, like this thing changed my life. It was so revolutionary. Like, no, right? It's just a website where if you're in a college, you can talk to your other friends in college. Okay. Right? This man is so smart. Did he come up with the cure for cancer? Did he come up with like the cure for HIV? Did he find a way to grow limbs where there are no limbs? No. Basic shit. A website? Basic shit. Right? Even Instagram. He didn't even create Instagram. He bought Instagram. I'm talking like you, Mark Zuckerberg. They've been telling that you're so smart. You're so smart. What have you truly, truly created? And today, when you sit here and you compare the impact of Facebook, because that's what he's responsible for. He's not responsible for Instagram. He is responsible for Facebook. You compare his goofy ass Facebook to TikTok, right? The Chinese man who created TikTok, right? Which app do you think has had more of an influence on people? That has been more revolutionary than people. Everything this white boy has tried, he has failed. Okay? He bought Instagram. Exactly. He bought Instagram, didn't really make anything better out of Instagram. If you ask me, he probably made Instagram worse. He spent billions of dollars on making Meta. And then just to pull it back, it didn't work. He spent billions of dollars on these goofy ass goggles, right? It didn't work. He spent goofy, like he tried to buy Snapchat. Because a lot of these white people, they're like, oh, they're so smart, they're so smart. No, all they do is buy other people's businesses. Think about it. All they do, these are people are so smart, but they never come up with their own stuff. They always buy people's stuff, right? When Snapchat didn't want to sell to this white boy, what did he do? He copied all their features, the stories, the filters, the wump. He copied everything from those people because they did not want to sell their business. I'm like, you invented what exactly? And the real gag with Mark Zuckerberg is that truly and honestly, Bill Gates just made him a billionaire. Like, oh, you know what? You remind me of me. So here you go, $5 billion. Then they started going crazy, spending money on all this marketing and press to convince us that he's a genius. Genius where, bitch? Genius where? Like if you say Albert Einstein was a genius, I kind of get that. It makes sense, right? If you say Marie Curie was a genius, yeah, I can see it. The whole nuclear power crap, right? I get that. No, okay, yeah, that's some real ish. If you tell me Einstein was a genius, I get it. Mark Zuckerberg, no, it's all marketing. It is all marketing. Then you got to start asking yourself, why are these white people so obsessed with selling you the idea that they're always these geniuses? I'm a genius. I'm so smart. 30 under 30, 20 under 20. And every time you look into it, there is a scam. Right? It is a lie. These are a bunch of barbarian people. They're barbaric. That's why they lie so much. They're a bunch of barbarians who have invested a lot of money into creating an industry called the media, right? That they use to control the narrative about their brand. You understand me? Right? These people still, they sell lies for a living. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to be mean. It's a real thing. But that's why you know America is racist. You are more likely, if you had to bet money, if somebody was to say, do you think in the next 2 weeks or the next month or so, Netflix is more likely to release a movie about a young black man being a drug dealer, or do you think they're about to release a movie about a young black man going to Morehouse, majoring in chemistry and somehow having a breakthrough, and then he's going to drop out of Morehouse, start a business in his garage, be able to raise all this money and then sell his business for like 300 trillion, right? Which movie you think is more likely to happen? Which movie? Okay, the black boy being the drug dealer. Yesterday, when I went to the gym yesterday, because I was at Planet Fitness, and they have all these TVs, and they were playing, one TV was set to like an ad. There was an ad there for Stars, the channel Stars, right? And they were trying to convince me that Stars is a channel that makes content for black people. You guys, every single clip they were showing is black people being stereotypical. Right? They have the goofy stuff by 50 Cent with the whole drug stuff, the power, the book of power, the trilogy of power, bunch of black people selling drugs in their community, killing other black people, working for the Colombians. Right? I don't even know. Oh my gosh, yo, I really have to say this. I don't even know how the vast majority of black men and black women who are involved with this whole drug stuff, right, don't even feel like they're being used out. You work for Colombians. You work for people from Bolivia. You work for Mexicans. You work for people that don't like you. They will never invite you to Latin America. They don't care for you. You are a foot soldier for these deranged sociopaths in Latin America. Okay? Imagine killing yourself to work for some Latino in Latin America that may care for you. Right? And then when you get caught, you do the most time. You have the worst representation. You are more likely to have a public defender. You are more likely to spend your life in prison, right? You mean nothing to these Latinos. Hey, Kevin, what's up? Hey, Shishi, you mean nothing to these Latinos. Your life means nothing to these Latinos. You think these Colombians are worried about you, right? And because these Colombians are giving you their drugs on credit, you are willing to kill your own people. You are willing to poison your own people. You are willing to have children be sent to foster care because you turn these black mothers into some fiend. That's why I hate Jay-Z. I hate anybody who promotes drugs. I hate anybody who sells drugs to black people. You ain't shit. Like, people like you need to be grabbed. I swear, we should have a law on the books. Anybody who sells drugs, especially if you sell drugs to your own people, you should be put to death. They need to grab your ass and tie your ass up, and you should be death by squadron. Like, they should have a bunch of people just shoot up into you like, brah, 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 brah. That's what you deserve. That's what you deserve. And then your picture has to be hung around all over the place. Here is a black person who chose to sell drugs and poison black people so he can make a Colombian rich, so he can make a Bolivian rich, so he can make a Mexican rich. You need to be shamed. Your mama needs to cry. Your father needs to cry. Your entire bloodline needs to be shamed. How dare from them goofy ass, the goofy ass money, right? And they think they make money. Whatever goofy ass money you make as a black drug dealer, these Colombians, these Latinos, they make way more than you. You kill your own people for Latinos. You murder your own people for Latinos. You do all this stuff for these Latino people. Okay? Don't even own land in their country. You don't own anything. You're nothing but a foot soldier to these Latinos. Like, people out here have no self-respect. People out here have no self-esteem. You don't have a sense of pride. Imagine yourself being in a first world country and working so hard for people who live in a third world country. Are you actually okay? Are you like your brain, does it actually work? Like, are you actually okay? No, because they don't think. That's the sad part. We have too many black people who live like animals. They don't think. You got to think. Why am I even doing this? Who am I even doing this for? And all this money I'm making, they're making way more money. And when you get caught, they're going to seize all the money. That's why the vast majority of black drug dealers end up having public defendants. You're going to rot in that prison. You will rot in that prison. And when you get to that prison, you're going to find out the entire prison is ran by Latino gangs. The Latinos run these prisons. You should see, watch the documentaries, y'all. Watch the documentaries. Watch all these shows. The vast majority of black inmates do not run prisons. The vast majority of black inmates do not run the prisons. It is the Latinos and it is the white crazy people who run the prison. These black boys are in there. They're at the bottom. They're at the bottom. Because they're not about that life. These people are crazy. One time I watched a documentary about prison life, you guys. You should have seen the Mexican people, y'all. You should have seen the Mexican gangs. When I tell you these vatos wake up 5 de la mañana. They wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Now they're doing drills. I said, but damn, they run these prisons. They're so damn crazy. They are crazy. They're dangerous. They are seriously dangerous. So these black men are in there. They scared for their life. So that's why most black people in prison, they pick on other black people in prison. Because they're at the bottom. They are at the bottom. And when you're at the bottom, you're going to bully people who look just like you, right? Have you ever heard that a black man put his hands on a Mexican in prison? Have you ever heard that a black man try to do something nasty to a Mexican in prison? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. But he sure will try to another black boy, right? Okay. Foolishness. It's utter foolishness. It is utter foolishness. Why would you ever do that to yourself? Why would you ever poison your own people for somebody in a third world country? Like, seriously? Seriously now? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But anyways, let me get back to my point, right? They would rather make a movie where black boys see themselves as drug dealers than to see themselves as geniuses. Every movie, for the vast majority of movies that you've ever consumed made in Hollywood about an American person being a genius, it's always a white person. It's always a white person, a white person, a white person. So subliminally, what are you trying to tell people, right? That nobody can be a genius but a white person, right? And then we come outside like in real day, everyday life. Every time it comes to tech, it's always a white man. It's always a white man. And then you see they're not even that good. They are not that good. Like, look at Amazon. Look at how long it took to build Amazon. And then look at what Temu is doing. They're kneecapping this. They're kneecapping that man. Okay. Look at Mark Zuckerberg and what the zoo, that's his name, the guy from TikTok, right? Look at what ByteDance is doing to Meta. Right? They're all the way in China. They don't pay their software engineers all this crazy money you have here in America. They don't pay them what kind of money. Right? But Mark Zuckerberg, everything he has tried, it fails. It keeps failing. If it's not for the fact that these Congress people, because most of them are his cousins, because they're all Jewish people, right? If it's not for that they're all holding him, he got a bunch of people holding him up, right? This man should be out of business. Instagram should be out of business. The CEO of Instagram, he sucks. Adam sucks. That dude should have been fired a long time ago, right? So many mediocre white people in positions of power. So too many of them mediocre. Too many of them are mediocre. So many white people do not earn their positions. But it's just the fact that people have been so brainwashed, especially through the media, to believe that white people are always the answer. Go see a white person, ask a white person, believe in a white person. No, do not. They're not that smart. Even how wealthy they got. White people got to be so wealthy, not because they're intelligent, because they were brutally violent. They were seriously violent, right? They didn't say, oh, let's broker a deal. Let's work this out. No, they kill people. They enslave people. They grape people. They got to be so wealthy because they prioritize violence. They had no problem with genocides. They had no problem mass murder, okay? They don't have an issue killing people. If they want something, they're going to kill you and take it. So when you don't have an issue with mass murder to be able to acquire what you want, well, guess what? You're going to be rich. But you're not rich because you're ethical. You're not rich because you work the hardest. You're not rich because you have the best ideas. No, they have the most weapons and they have the mindset. They have the mindset that says, if you're not white, I don't have a problem killing you. They will kill you and take your ish. Then they'll create some kind of narrative about how they it was an idea that helped them to make all this money. No, these are barbarians. These are brutal people. They have murdered millions of people to take their land, to take their stuff, to take their idea, to take their wealth. This is what they do. This is what they do. This is what they've always done. You understand? But today we are in impasse because I do believe America needs more engineers, right? America needs so much. They need so much intellectual capital. They need way more intellectual capital than what they currently have. It's not just a matter of we got to have cheap labor, because cheap labor can only go but so far heavy, right? You can bring all the Latinos in this world to work here for cheap, all kinds of money. But if you don't have enough people creating ideas that will justify building the factories, hiring illegal immigrants, right? How far can you go? You need ideas. You need people with great ideas. You need people with novel ideas. That's how you're going to start a business that's going to hire so many people that you can start, you can start to create real wealth, But I'm like, since the iPhone, I don't know, maybe the iPhone, maybe ChatGPT, but even ChatGPT, right? The white people, once again, we're white people, we can do it better than anybody else. Yeah, right. The Chinese came outside, $6 million, and they're out here crushing what these white people spend hundreds of billions of dollars to do. So it shows you they're not smart. White people just throw money at problems. They throw money at problems because they really can't think. If it's not killing, shooting, looting, raping, lying, making a goofy ass movie, lying on people, what else can they do? What else can they do? These people cannot really think. When was the last time you heard that something groundbreaking came out of Europe? When was the last time you heard that some crazy idea that changed the world, even the world of medicine, came from Europe? Right? But it's an entire continent full of white people. And these dumbholes can't think. Right? How come we don't? They're so smart. White people are so smart. How come we don't have groundbreaking ideas coming out of Europe? All we have out of Europe is socialism. Socialism. Oh, we want to work less and we want to depend on the government. Right? Okay? They're not smart. I'm telling you, they're not smart. It's just that they never had a real competitor. And today, in China and India, they're about to meet their match. They're about to meet their match. I'm telling you this, 50 years from now, India will also be a superpower. So consider the fact that you have China on top, India at the bottom. Those two countries are next door neighbors. Imagine how much money is going to be on that side. Imagine how much innovation is going to be on that side. Imagine. And we will see who's really smart outside. Between white people, black people, yellow people, brown people, we're going to see who's really, really smart. And I promise you, white folks going to start losing. Right? Because for the longest, they have controlled the game. They've controlled the rules of the game. They've controlled the resources to the game. They have controlled access to the game. They have control. They control the narrative to the game. And today they're losing power. They're losing control. And I'm sure it has to be really, really scary because they told people they were so smart. Told people they're so smart. Even Trump, the mere fact that even Trump has to raise all these crazy tariffs to find a way to fill this hole, right? It shows you a real problem. It's like even him himself and the people who surround him, they don't have real ideas. They don't have real ideas. Like, just think about this, right? I know people are taking pleasure in showing that video of Nancy Pelosi from 30 years ago talking about the trade deficit with China. But even her, she's an idiot because you will always have a trade deficit when rich people are trading with poor people. Bitch, make it make sense. If you are doing trade with a poor person, you're rich, they're poor. You can buy more from a poor person than a poor person can buy from you. Hello, Italiano, the Italiano, does your brain actually work, right? The Chinese are poor. They can only buy but so much. How can a rich person say, well, how come you don't buy enough from me? Rich person, because I ain't got your kind of money? Give me some money then, right? If you want you and I to have trade parity, give me enough money. Pay me more, right? Get the Chinese people to make $87,000 per capita. Then you can start saying, oh, I'm upset because you make as much money as I do, but you're not trading with me. That makes a lot more sense. And that's why this conversation needs to be had with your fellow white-ass Europeans, right? But because they're so racist and they're so xenophobic, right? No, the bulk of their ire is directed towards the Chinese people because these people don't look like them because they're racist, right? Because it's somebody that has a lot of money is Germany. Germany has they have a surplus. They always have a surplus of their GDP. Why don't you go ask the German people to buy more from Americans? That makes more sense because they're just as rich, if not even richer. They're just as educated, if not better educated. So why don't you say to the German person, right? Why don't you say to the German person, hey, German, buy from me? Why don't you say to the French person, buy from me? Why don't you say to the British person, buy from me? Even people in Norway, in Denmark, right? Why don't you in the Netherlands? Why don't you tell your fellow Europeans who have a higher GDP, higher standard of living, who make more money, that they should buy more from America? Why would it be the Chinese? Chinese people make $13,000 per capita. How they gonna buy from you when you make $87,000? Are you actually okay? Like, why are you dumb like this? Right? Me, honestly, I'm gonna tell you this, V. The Chinese can be colonizers. That's fine. It doesn't bother me because this is the natural progression of life. Strong people take over. Weak people complain. Right? They have earned the right to colonize because they've worked really hard. They worked really hard. They put up a lot of bullshit. Okay? They destroyed their environment. They destroyed their families. Like, a lot of people in China, they're from the village. So they would leave their children behind to go work in the cities. And these goofy ass white Americans don't want to talk about that. That there are Chinese children who can go 9 months, 2 years without seeing their parents because the parents work in the cities and the children are by themselves. Okay? So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. China has paid a huge price to be where China is today. Meanwhile, the American people, they see their kids every day. They're with their kids all the time. Okay? They see their kids all day. But the Chinese people, in order to grow their economy, many people make the ultimate sacrifice to leave the village, leave your kids behind, and then to go work in these goofy ass cities where you can't even breathe because the air is so polluted. Because we got to make them cheap ass shit to send to America. Of people that are so glutinous, they're never satisfied. Okay? So I'm like, they've earned the right. This doesn't bother me. And my thing also with these African people, nobody is stopping these African people from growing the hell up also. They can grow up. They don't want to grow up. They don't want people to just give them money. So, okay, you're going to be colonized. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't want to lead. I've made peace with that. When you look at the vast majority, when you look at the vast majority of African countries, even African people, African leaders, they don't want to lead. They want to be led. So, okay, that's cool. And guess what, V? Maybe if China takes over Africa, you will start seeing more roads. You'll start seeing more bridges. You will start seeing better airports. You will start seeing better hospitals, right? Because the Chinese people want to make money. They want to be rich. They want to build business. African people want to dance. Men and women want to wind their waist, shake their waist. They want to eat food, go to weddings, right? Buy dresses, buy clothes, have sex, have a bunch of kids, okay? Go to church. Oh, they love to go to church, right? So we have to stop. We got to stop. African people are okay with complacency. They want to be slaves. Let them be. Why does it bother you? Can a person come to your house and beat your ass up? Can a person come to your house and bind you? No. These Africans want to be bound. They don't want to innovate. They want to work. They want handouts. They want charity work. They want NGOs. They want to go to church on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Friday, on Saturday, on Sundays. African people spend more time at church than they do working. They spend more time praying for miracles than they use their own brains to figure out how they're going to get out of poverty, right? Because they don't believe that they can get themselves out of poverty. Oh, I have to pray so I can have a miracle. I got to go pray for a miracle. A miracle. Let these people be enslaved in peace. Let them be. That they love it. They love slavery. Did you not get this? Even Marlene, I said, these white people, they even have to do all this brutality stuff, like the chains. They didn't even have to do that. All they had to tell these African people, come with us, work for us, we'll give you 3 meals a day. These Africans would have gladly walked on the slave ships. They didn't even have to brutalize these people. I've made peace with that, okay? They did not have to brutalize these people. The slave trade never even had to happen. All they had to say to these people, we'll give you 3 meals a day. Come work for free. They would have done it. They would have done it. It could be that African people are descendants of Esau. He sold his birthright for food. For food. And you know, people love food. These people love to eat. They love to eat. Okay? So, that's it. Nobody is forcing these people. So if we get to a point that China is colonizing Africa, India is colonizing Africa, oh well. Maybe you should not spend so much time going to church. How about that? Okay? You can go to church 3 hours out the week, and then you can work more. You can think of ideas. You can come together. You can put money together. You can start having businesses. You can have what's it called? Credit unions. You can have, there are things you can do. They don't want to solve problems. They want other people to solve problems for them. They want to be dependent on other people. Cool. You will be a slave. I don't feel bad for your ass. I feel bad for the children. Exactly. Exactly. Instead of using your life savings to start a business, right? Instead of using your life saving to go acquire a trade. You know what I'm saying? No. So, hey, what do you want me to say? Like, it's a natural order of things. If you don't take care of yourself, you don't get yourself ready, you don't save your money, you don't post up, they're going to chew you up. Life is competition. Somebody needs to go read about Darwin. He told us that. You know, everything goes to the strongest. Everything goes to the fittest. So if you're not in a mindset of competing, well, you're going to be colonized. It is what it is. Exactly. Because you might be surprised. The Chinese take over Africa. You might have a fancy airport in every African country. You might have Wi-Fi everywhere you go. You might have roads from Algeria all the way down to Johannesburg. You might have things you've never seen before. You have to make peace with this. Like, y'all really have to make peace with this, right? These people don't want to work. They want to go to church. Let them go to church. And let the people who want to build come to Africa and build. Okay? That's what it is. Maybe like if you let the Chinese take over Africa in the next 50 years, you won't even have a single African village. Everything's going to be a city. Everywhere will be at least a small city with roads, at least one school, one hospital, and one something. How many centuries or millennia have these African people had the African continent? They're not responsible stewards. They are irresponsible people. Hello? They are excessively irresponsible, right? And if they had to if God came today and he had to judge these African people, he would send their asses straight to hell because you are so irresponsible. I gave you everything. They walk on coal. They walk on diamonds. They walk over cobalt. They walk over coltan. They walk over diamonds. They walk over oil. There's everything in Africa, but somehow people are poor. So if you don't know how to be a good steward, get the F out. Move out the way and let serious people do it. Let serious people do. Of course, they're gonna take the money, but it is what it is. If you don't want to do it and somebody else does it, they're gonna charge you and they're gonna tax your ass. There's a punitive tax for being lazy. Hello? Huh? Hello? Hello? Everybody suffered, child. Everybody suffered. Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you, you let these Chinese people take over Africa. You could have a road from like Algeria all the way to South Africa. You can drive. It won't just be like from Paris to Dakar. Like you can drive. You'll be like, oh, I can drive. The roads. These Chinese people are capable of building billions of miles of road in Africa. Let them. Because these black people, these African people, they've had custody of this continent for over a millennia. And what do they have to show for it? Nothing. Okay? Nothing at all. So, okay, whatever. Whatever. Like, I'm not talking for this. Okay? Yeah. So it's like, it's utter foolishness. Okay? It's utter foolishness. You know, you guys, everybody will have to answer for their sins. Everybody will have to answer for their sins. And I feel like this is exactly what's happening here in America too, huh? Is that American people, right? The American society is having to answer for their sins, right? The sins of racism, especially the sin of racism, you guys. Because I'm telling you guys, think about this. If more and more black people had been sold the idea that you can be black and you can be a genius, you can be black and you can be an innovator, you can be black, you can create. Can you imagine how many more people would have been seduced by the idea of like, you know what, maybe I can create something. Maybe I can innovate. Maybe, right? If we had more movies, instead of having the Players Club, whatever that thing is called, right? If we had more movies where you saw black people, right, creating, innovating, doing tech and things like that, you know, you would have way more black children care about this kind of stuff. Right? No, but instead, because America is racist, they push sports onto black people. They push the sports onto the black man. Football, basketball, baseball, you name it, right? Sports. They push entertainment onto black people. Go be a dancer. Go be an entertainer. Go be some, right? Always trying to entertain people, right? Because they didn't want competition. They did not want competition, right? They didn't want competition. Right? So you raise a whole people. I'm not gonna say useless, but it's like you raise a whole people not to care about science, innovation, and things like that, right? Whereas the Chinese, there's like a billion of these people. There's a billion of these people. A billion. America only has 300 million people. And when it comes to like 46, like almost like 40 million people, right? All you've ever done was encourage these people to not want to get involved with science, to not want to get involved with the medical field, right? To not want to get involved with innovation and creating and robotics and this and that. So today, when you think about it, right, when it comes to like competing against China, you don't have enough soldiers. You don't have enough soldiers. You don't have enough people that you can tap and okay, what you got? What can you come up with? What can you come up with? What are you working on? Right? Even the whole venture capital stuff. It is built for white people to invest into other white people, right? You're not investing in anybody else. Racism, right? The school system, all the good school districts, all the good schools, right? In America, good education is reserved for white children. Okay? Yeah, you might have some black kids who have access, but my point is the vast chunk of the great education system in America is reserved for white children, especially white children of rich people, right? Rich people's kids come first. But sometimes just because you're rich don't mean your child is smart. There are many rich people who have mediocre children. There are many rich people who don't have smart children, right? But that's the problem with this obsession of, oh, if somebody's an engineer, it has to be a white person. If somebody has a breakthrough something, it has to be a white person, right? They wanted to control the outcome, right? Let's be honest. They have, yeah. I even feel like, I guess you can kind of say like even white people, like they were using quotas, right? You had to make sure that you had that many white doctors, that many white engineers, even if they're not good. White people, right? And in order to have that, you have to discourage other people from other ethnicities from even trying, right? Because they thought they would always be able to figure it out. They will always be able to be the ones that have the answers. They will always be, no, you're not that smart. You are really not that smart. You are not that smart, right? And now here we are today with this whole Chinese problem. It's like China, they have way more engineers. They have way more engineers. They pay them less and they're way better. They pay them and they're way better, right? And maybe they thought, well, instead of like trying to encourage Black America to go into the sciences, we'll just import our favorite brown people, right? We'll bring these Indians over here. We'll bring Indians over here. But I'm like, even the Indians too, right? Like, I'm not trying to be funny, but are you even really getting the best Indians to come here? You know, how do we know that you are truly, truly getting the smartest Indians to come here? Because if somebody's a really, really smart Indian, I'm sure they have a lot of offers. I'm sure they have a boatload of offers, right? So maybe to us, we might be thinking, like, oh yeah, we got the best Indians, like the best Indian immigrants coming to America because the standard here is so low. So maybe an Indian that's a C student in India, when he comes here, he's a straight A student because over here in America, the standards are low. The expectations are low, right? And in India, it's really, really hard. Like school is hard. Children really have to study, right? Their mental health doesn't matter, okay? The Indian kids really, really have to study. They have to study really hard, right? So we will, oh no, we have some Indians, we got the best Indians. No, how do you know that for a fact? How do you know? The best Indians could be there already. The best Indians could be going to Australia. The best Indians could be going to Korea. The best Indians, they could be going to South Korea. We don't know that for a fact, right? You are assuming that you're getting the best Indians. Assuming. But you can't really confirm that. Because if somebody is really that good, though, why would they come to America? Right? And become billionaires in India, right? You know what I'm saying? Because like there's more people in India, right? Why would they want to come here and work for some goofy ass white man? Because let's not be stupid. Most Indians know that even when they do come here, no matter how smart they are, they would never be the CEO. They're here to help the white man look good, right? The vast majority of Indians work for white people, and they know that these white boys are just taking advantage. They ain't stupid. Hey, bro, they're not stupid. But so like, how many Indians really want to come here and have to be subservient to these goofy ass white boys? How many? So how do we know that it's the best Indians that are coming here? Right? But that's how you also see that America is racist, you guys. I hope you understand me, right? America is racist. Because if you were dealing with the people that truly wanted like a united country, a great country, a powerful nation, America would put so much more into Black education. Look at all these HBCUs. They're so underfunded, right? And to me, and I'm telling you this issue is not even just like, oh, Republicans, Democrats. No. The vast, especially for the past 16 years, right? America has been ran by Democrats, a party that has a strong Black America adherence. They get all the Black votes and shit like that, right? But they don't do shit for Black education, right? And Black people and Black Americans too they're also to blame because they keep voting for people who keep sending them to horrible schools. I don't get that part. This is crazy to me, right? You're like your friend with your own saboteur. Make it make sense. Right? But these HBCUs are so underfunded, right? They are seriously underfunded. And when you go to these HBCU2s, you go there also, these children are not being encouraged to challenge themselves and to major in majors, yeah, to follow suit, to major into these subjects, right? That are truly, truly going to put them in a position to be extremely competitive. Today, HBCUs are known for sororities, fraternities, being a Q dog, a bunch of foolishness, right? People go there, they have their Black experience, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean, right? They don't go there with a sense of pride. Like, I'm here to change. I'm here to compete. I'm here to be ground. Like, no, that stuff is gone. It's gone. You think Piercy Julian was out here joining the Q dogs and trying to be an alpha, whatever this stupid shit is? This is what they have turned HBCUs into, y'all. Sororities, fraternities. I'm like, what is this? What's all this? Show us the work. Show us the quality of the education, right? Show us what y'all learning over here. What are y'all learning over here? They learn absolutely nothing. The wrong reasons. It is really sad. You know, because I was downstairs talking to Jimmy. Like you see, because, you know, let's be so for real. Let's be so for real, right? They never wanted to integrate these schools. And I mean, especially Democrats. Especially Democrats, because, you know, white liberals are racist, right? But especially Democrats. They never wanted to integrate these schools. But they recognized that they couldn't stop the movement. So what do you do? When you can't stop it, you act as if you're okay with it. You let the person get to you, but you sabotage the person. So fine, we can't stop these people from integrating our schools. You've heard Joe Biden say that he doesn't want black children to be bused into these white schools because it's going to be turned into a jungle. Like a jungle? Like what? That's crazy. All right? So what they do? Okay, fine. Come to the school. But they're going to find ways to redline these school districts, though, so that eventually their kids and your kids are not going to be in the same school. You understand? They're going to find ways to do stuff with the money, the property tax money, so that where you have mostly black children, the schools don't have the best funding. They're going to find ways to send the best teachers to the white schools and then the bad teachers to the black school. You understand? And also, if you are able to put your black kid into that good white school, they're going to find ways to put behavioral issues on your child. They're going to find ways to say, oh, he's not this, he has this, he has that, he has this, he has this, he has that, right? Because the goal is to ultimately destroy this child, right? Destroy him psychologically. Get him to a point where he doesn't believe in himself. Get him to a point where he feels like he's not good enough, right? Even this whole Common Core bullshit. You cannot tell me that these people are not trying to get these children to feel as though they can't do math, right? Because if in elementary school, you start to feel like math is too hard, what are the odds you're going to try in middle school? In middle school, if you feel like math is hard, what are the odds you're going to try in high school? If you feel like math is hard in high school, what are the odds that you're going to major in that in college, right? So you have to make sure that these children feel as though they're just not built for this, right? And isn't it funny that in America, they have made it so the vast majority of black children feel as though they're not made for sciences, right? They have this weird visceral reaction to seeing math problems, right? It's intentional. It's intentional. They get you at a very, very young age, right? So yeah, it's free. But what your black child is going to go through in that school, when they come out of that school, they will not believe in themselves, right? And so people start to have intellectual depression. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I can't do that. I can't do this. Oh, this is hard. This is so hard. This is hard. This is hard. It is not hard. You were intentionally taught in a way that was overly complicated, right? To destroy your self-esteem. There are more than one way to skin a cat, okay? There are many ways to solve this problem. Unfortunately, they never told you about the other ways because they don't want you to believe you could do it, right? When it comes to real black excellence in this country, it is sabotage at every single turn because the goal is black people in America have to make up the poor class, the criminal class, the destructive class, the degenerate class, and white people have to be the class of success, the class of maturity, the class of leadership, the class of innovators, the class of billionaires, and whumpty, right? This is what they decided to do. Because it's true. If you have capitalism, somebody has to be poor and somebody has to be rich. You got to have some level of inequality for capitalism to work, okay? Otherwise, how does it work, right? How does it work? So you need somebody to be poor. And they have decided that poor people have to be the poor class. Now, once in a while, they might let a few Negroes escape into the bounties of wealth and things like that. But for the vast majority of the time, though, everything bad goes to black people. Even the bad stereotypes, they go to black people. The bad education goes to black people. The bad diets, it goes to black people. The horrible perspective on life, it goes to black people, right? It's intentional. But the sad part is you cannot import your way out of your problem. Like, you cannot import intellectual capital from third world countries out of your issues, right? You have to get people who are also U.S. citizens to see themselves as people who can make a significant contribution to moving this country forward and to moving this economy forward, right? 40 million people you have neglected. You're never going to import 40 million Indians. How? Right? You can never import 40 million. You cannot import 40 million Indians. Even think about the crime bill. Think about the crime bill, right? If the crime bill also had not existed, all these young black men whose lives were just wasted in prison, they could have had a trade. Instead of locking the asses up, send their asses to military school, send their asses to the army, send them to the army, right? Send them to a trade school, or like have some kind of program because, oh, you did this little goofy ass crime. Okay, no problem. You're going to have to take this class over the next 4 years. We're going to force you to be a plumber. We're going to force you to be an electrician, right? Because all of that too is labor, right? These prisoners, they could have turned into people who could have been blue collar workers because a lot of their crimes were not that significant. 5 grams of crack cocaine, it ain't that deep. Okay, 5 grams, it's not a lot. What is it, like a tablespoon? Okay, 5 grams of crack. You're giving somebody 10, 15 years in prison. But that's one laborer that you are removing you're removing that person from the economy, right? And then you're putting them people in prison where now you got to take care of them. So you lock them up for 5 grand for a tablespoon of crack. You lock somebody up for a tablespoon of cocaine. You lock them up for 10, 15 years. Are you actually smart? But no, these are white people. I told you they ain't smart, right? They're just agents of chaos. And because people are so impressed by white people, they don't even see how mediocre they are. They're so mediocre because a smart person would have said, if I lock you up for a tablespoon of crack, I'm going to have to take care of your ass for the next 10 years, right? You take a person that does crack and you put them on some kind of work, parole, work something. Like, you have to work. You have to get a trade for the next 5 years and you pay a fine. Not only are you going to make money off that person, but now they have a trade to take care of themselves. Because it could be the reason why they're selling this goofy ass crack cocaine, because they don't have jobs. They don't have a trade. They don't have a gift that allows them to sell their time for money in the marketplace. There you go. You see, you got to be smart, right? White people are not that smart. They're chaotic. They're extremely chaotic, right? They don't solve problems. They make shit worse. They usually make shit worse. That's why you gotta be a fool to even run up behind a white person thinking they're gonna change your life. They're gonna make it worse. Especially a liberal, or they're gonna make it damn worse. I don't say I didn't tell you, right? But think about the millions of young black people that they locked up since the 90s. Had these people been forced to some kind of work release, like work parole or trade school parole, things like that, and you pay a fine, how much you think things would look different, right? How much do you think stuff would have been different? A tablespoon of crack cocaine. It's like 5 grams. It's like, it has to be a tablespoon, or maybe 2 tablespoons, 1. Yeah. A tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. You locking somebody up for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Are you actually intelligent? No, they're racist. You can't be a racist and be intelligent. It's like, it doesn't work. It does not work. It doesn't work, right? But it would have made more sense to put these people into trades. It would have made more sense that their punishment be, okay, since you out here trying to sell the drugs, you have to choose. Do you want to be an electrician, a plumber, or whatever? You're going to have to pick a trade. And you will not be free until you graduate. Like, you're going to have to go to school. You have to, and if you don't go to school, then we'll lock your ass up. But how much you want to bet these people, especially these young boys, when they would have gotten there and they would have started doing something with their hands, they would have had a sense of pride. You know, sometimes young people, they do foolishness because they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe they're special enough. They don't believe that, oh, I don't know how to do this, don't do that, you know what I'm saying? But once you learn how to do something with your hands, because not everybody is a textbook learner. You know what I'm trying to say? There are people who learn by doing. Some people are tactile learners. They got to touch it. They got to build it, right? It could be automotive. I don't know. Pick something that you think you love, And because I'm nice, I can let you change it like 3 times. You can try this. You don't like it, you can try this. But I'll give you 3 chances to find a trade that you like. Because once you know how to do something with your hands, once you know how to do something with your hands, you're less likely to ruin your life behind some foolishness, right? You don't really have something to do. You don't really believe in yourself. You don't see it for yourself. So that's why you're going to waste your life doing all kinds of foolishness, right? But when you have smart people, that's how smart people think. Everybody should be allowed to make at least one mistake. It shouldn't be, oh, you sold crack, you sold cocaine, 5 grand, 2 tablespoons, boom, 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 prison for 10 years. Are you okay? Meanwhile, your son, Hunter Biden, is out here snorting cocaine, smoking crack, okay? But you send your son to freaking, what's it called again, to rehab. White children who do drugs, go to rehab. Black children who do drugs, go to prison. America is racist. The Democrats are racist. White liberals are racist. I will never stop saying this, okay? I will never stop saying this. But you guys think about this. If like generations and generations of all these young boys who were sent to prison behind 2 tablespoons of crack cocaine, and had these young people been forced to pick up a trade, where would they be today? Where would even the economy be today? You wouldn't have needed to import all these illegal immigrants. You wouldn't have needed to import all these workers because you already had the workforce. But because they were Black, you chose to lock their asses up. Because they were Black, you chose to make them felons. When you become a felon, it's really hard to find a good job. It's really, really hard. So even you as a judge, as a congressperson, as a lawmaker, you have to think, do I truly want to make somebody a felon the first time they commit an offense, especially 2 tablespoons of crack cocaine? I don't know, right? Because we need workers. But the problem is, and I'm sure they never thought that this would even be a problem, because I don't think these people ever thought that the Chinese, hold on, you guys. They never really thought that the Chinese would eventually catch up to them. Oh, we can lock up these Black people. We can import Latinos. We can import Indians. You see? And today, here are the consequences. Here are the consequences. And that's why when you have a nation, you have to give everybody a fair chance of being their best. When you make content, you write books, you make movies, make sure everybody can see themselves being a genius. Make sure everybody can see themselves being a doer. Make sure everybody can see themselves being a problem solver. You can't just have, yeah, exactly, Sowell. Like these are the consequences. These are the real consequences, you guys. Because you think about this. Do you know how many Black people, you know how many Black men they locked up with this crime bill? You go find the numbers. Now, and then multiply that by $30,000 a year per inmate. If they even had invested that money, instead of locking, even if you want to lock them up, while they're locked up, they have to learn a trade, right? But 2 tablespoons of sugar, okay? They're going to put your ass in there for 10 years, 15 years, because they thought they could always import low labor from Latin America. And that's fine. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's fine. You can import all the low labor people. But you know, many low labor people too, they ain't too smart. They're not going to be the people to innovate. They're not going to be the people to build factories and this and that. And also, they don't even speak English. So it's really, really hard. If you take a young Black American man, or you take a lot of young Black American men who have committed the crime of selling the sugar, okay, and you put these young people into a trade, when they eventually become successful, not only are they going to stop committing crime and then be involved in the life of their children, but they can talk to other young Black children. And who do you think a young Black boy is more likely to listen to? A president, a politician, a pastor, the illegal Latino? Or is he more likely to listen to a young Black man that looks just like him, that can relate to him, that can speak English the way he speaks English with the same American accent? Oh, okay, right? The reason why sometimes also you want these people to be redeemed is not so much because, oh, I want to be nice to a criminal, or I want to be nice to a drug dealer, even though I do believe that drug dealers need to be shot in the head. But that's just me being extreme, right? But it's because if you can save this young person from this life of crime and they become a success story, they are more believable. That the young baby coming behind him, he is more likely to listen to his big brother. He's more likely, oh, wow, you know what? I saw my brother out here doing drugs. Then he went to this program, and now he knows how to do something. I see how he has changed. He's nicer now. He's friendlier now. He has time for us. He plays with us. He makes money the right way. Mommy's proud of him. Daddy's proud of him. What are the odds? What are the odds? You understand? And that's why Marlene, I will never be a Democrat, okay? I can't stand these people. There was a better way to fix this problem than to lock people up, right? But these people, as goofy as they are, they thought they could lock these black men, import their cheap Latino labor, and then import their Indians to be their engineer. And you did all of this. Have you caught up to China? No, you have not. China came and caught up with you, right? Because you got to treat your people fairly. Let me play the video because I got to go a little bit, but I got to go into the thing and I'll be right back.
What do you make of the present president of the United States and his tariffs?
It's painful to see what a ruinous decision from back in the 1920s being repeated. Now, insofar as he's using these tariffs to get very strategic things settled, and that he is satisfied with that. But if you set off a worldwide trade war, that has a devastating history. Everybody loses because everybody follows suit, and all that happens is that you get a great reduction in international trade. The other, it's disturbing in another sense. Franklin D. Roosevelt, when he was president in the 1930s, said that you have to try things, and if they don't work, then you admit it, you abandon that, and you go on to something else, and you try that until you come across something that does work. Now that's not a bad approach if you are operating within a known system of rules.
Mm.
But if you are the one who's making the rules, then all the other people have no idea what you're going to do next. And that is a formula for having people hang on to their money until they figure out what you're going to do. And when a lot of people hang on to their money, you can get results such as you got during the Great Depression of the 1930s. So if this is just a set of short-run ploys for various limited objectives, limited in time, fine, maybe. But if this is going to be the policy for 4 long years, that you're going to try this, you're going to try that, you're going to try something else, a lot of people are going to wait. I think what happened in the stock market recently, when things came down substantially for quite a while, and I note that various people are holding on to their money before they do anything because they don't know where this is going to lead.
And you see, y'all, and my thing is, sorry.
China, a nation of 1.4 billion people, that in the lifetime of anyone over the age of 35 has lifted hundreds of millions out of poverty and built a navy bigger than ours.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna go send them the steamer and come back. Right? I'm gonna tell you this, you guys. This is why Marlene, I really think MLK was evil. I really, really, really. Maybe one day, when I come into some like a lot of money, I am really going to create like, I don't know, an office, an agency where people will sit there all day and just make content about the harm that the civil rights movement caused Black America. It's not a joke. I think somebody has to really sit here and make the content like every single day to like drill it into people's heads. What socialism did to Black America, it is diabolical. It is diabolical. Like when you study the resilience of Black Americans coming out of the Civil War, what these people did, you guys, it's just impressive. How can people who were slaves, people don't know how to read and write, they open their own bank, they have money in there, and again, the white man stole the money per usual. I told you they're mediocre. Okay. Frederick Douglass comes in there to try to save the bank. He put 10 grand in there. I think like they said, like to today's money, it's like almost like it's over 100,000. But the white man has stolen so much money. It was hard. It was hard to save the bank. And it was hard for these people. But guess what? They did it again. You hear me? The Great Depression, the 1920s, Great Depression. White people don't even know how to fix the problem that they created, by the way, because they're mediocre. Okay? Right? Black Americans had Tulsa, Oklahoma. I don't even think Tulsa is the only town. I think Tulsa is the one that gets the most attention. But when the vast majority of white people, and also 1920s, you have Harvard, you have Princeton, you have Harvard, you have Yale, you have Dartmouth. All these Ivies are existing, right? In the 20s, people know about the economy. People have studied economy. You have all these economists, right? The vast majority of people have read Adam Smith in about the 1920s. You understand me, right? These white folks cannot figure this thing out. They don't know. Even FDR, when FDR comes into power, he doesn't even know how to get people out of that depression too, huh? The Great New Deal, the New Deal, it did nothing for the people. It wasn't moving. That's why low-key, high-key, they owe a lot to Hitler, because that goofy-ass war, it pulled America out of some serious-ass depression, because it was not working. It wasn't working. But let's go back to the 1920s, right? These people cannot figure out how to get out of this depression. It's lines and lines of people begging for bread. But somehow you have a town in like the Midwest, in Oklahoma somewhere, right? Where these Black people, once again, descendants of slaves, have a town where nobody is starving. Nobody is begging. Everybody has a job. People have businesses. People are thriving. You see, if that spirit, hold on. If that spirit existed today, right? Today, Black America also would be able to have significant technological contribution to this tech revolution, this AI revolution, this whatever robotic revolution, right? You would have crazy ideas coming out of Black America. But they made sure to destroy the entrepreneurial spirit of a people. And all of these Black people who work in tandem with these demons, to lie to Black people, to tell the Black people, go vote Democrat. These people, I pray that God handled these people accordingly. You guys, I'm gonna go I'm gonna go onto the steamer. I'll be right back, okay? I'll be back. Don't leave. Don't go anywhere too far. I'm gonna go onto the steamer and I'm coming back. I gotta steam my hair. I know. I gotta take my hair, but I'll be back. I love y'all. Be right back. I'll be right back.